Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Import Export Hub channel, everybody. Bryce Bogdan here, your host for the next couple of minutes. Thanks for joining in. And guys, without making this intro too long, let's dive into the topic here as I will cover the imports and the exports of almonds from 2022, both in shell and shelled ones. I will show you the largest importers and exporters worldwide. I will briefly pass through the US export gateways. And towards the end of the video, I'll also show you a couple of stats coming from FAOSTAT, mainly relating to the area harvested and production. So with this table of contents in mind, let's start with the largest exporters of almonds in shell, so subheading 080211. And basically we see that in 2022, the overall exports amounted to some $1.6 billion, with the United States here, Australia and Portugal as the main exporters, which were followed in this top 10 list by countries like, I don't know, Italy, Vietnam or India, to name just a few. The United States clearly dominates, more specifically the state of California with some $1.2 billion. Let's face it, it's truly an industry per se there, with a trade association, international marketing campaigns and so on. But anyways, coming back to the table here, we see that for the last 5 years, the compound annual growth rate was positive, some 2.6%, while narrowing down my analysis and, I don't know, focusing on the year-on-year dynamics, we see that the overall exports suffered a contraction, some $6 million fewer exports relative to the previous year, so 2021, mainly because of the poor performances coming from Spain, which is also a grower, and also from Hong Kong, which is mainly a trading hub. But these contractions were partially offset by the United States, who managed to export some $79 million more. So guys, with these main exporters of almonds in shell being briefly covered, I will now turn the page and look also at the importers, again on a country level. And here we see that in 2022, the overall imports amounted to some $1.5 billion, with India here, China and Spain as the main importers, which were followed in this top 10 list by countries like the United Arab Emirates, Ukraine or Saudi Arabia, again to mention just a couple from this top 10 list. Overall, the compound annual growth rate for the last 5 years somehow follows the positive trend of the export flow, while in terms of year-on-year changes, we see that we have a positive change, some $61.6 million in absolute terms, thanks to the figures coming from India, who offset the negative performance of Hong Kong. But from what I can see, good figures were coming also from Nigeria and Turkey, who both managed to considerably increase their imports in 2022 relative to 2021. Jumping now, guys, to the shelled almonds, so subheading 080212, we see here much bigger values. And for 2022, we have more or less $5 billion worth of exports worldwide, with the United States again, Spain and Australia leading the way, followed by others like, I don't know, the Netherlands, Germany or Iran, again to mention just a couple from this top 10 list. Now, in what concerns the compound annual growth rate, we see that for the last 5 years we have a negative 1%, even though Iran, Australia, and also Turkey had double-digit positive changes. Now, for the year-on-year dynamics, the overall change is again negative, some 7.4% contraction, which translates into some $400 million, quite a lot, as both the United States and Spain So basically, the first and second places worldwide had big negative changes. Some $72.3 million fewer exports in the case of the United States, and some $119 million in the case of Spain. So quite a lot. As for the main importers of shelled almonds, here the figures are a little bit lower, some $4.6 billion worldwide, with Germany, Spain, and Italy leading the way, followed by others like France, Japan, or Canada, the last one importing some $152 million worth of shelled almonds in 2022. Now, in what concerns the year-on-year dynamics, again, we see the same negative path as in the case with exports, but this time both the absolute and relative figures are smaller, not by much, as a $300 million contraction is not a small sum, even though we're talking about worldwide imports. And here, from what I can see, Germany and France were the main drivers of this negative change, importing with $72 and $58 million less respectively, even though Turkey or Turkyie managed the largest absolute positive change in this top 10 list, some $75.7 million more imports. So guys, these were the main importers and exporters worldwide, and now I will quickly pass through the main export gateways in the United States for the first 6 months of this year, so 2023. And basically, I don't know, 70% of US almond exports pass through the Californian ports, while Texas, Florida, or Virginia have a smaller weight here, which it's understandable, as California is also the growing center, the growing place for almonds. And guys, one last thing that I wanted to cover here relates to the export destination, and here I've added the first 3 main partners for the export flow for the port of San Francisco, and basically, India is the main destination with some $334 million. China comes second with almost $65 million. And lastly, Turkey takes the 3rd place with almost $8.5 million worth of exports. Jumping now, guys, to the FAOSTAT statistics. Here I took the top 7 countries that have the largest harvested area expressed in hectares here. And I made this chart, and basically, even though Spain has the largest harvested area, it scores only second in terms of production, behind the United States, of course, who in 2021 managed a production of roughly 2.2 million tons. Morocco and Tunisia are both harvesting more or less the same area, but Morocco has a higher yield than Tunisia, and I don't know, the chart continues with Iran, Libya, and Turkey. This last one being the 3rd largest in terms of production, some 178,000 tons. And now, guys, the last thing that I want to cover here in this video is related to the EU tariffs on the importation of almonds, with 2 examples here, Turkey and the United States. Basically, Turkey, because of a preferential tariff with the European Union, has a 0% tariff, while the United States, until the quota is reached, and it was reached, I think, in April, if I remember correctly, had a reduced tariff of 2% instead of the erga omnes one of 3.5%. And guys, the reason I've showed you this is because as an importer or an export, you have to always consider tariffs and preferential tariffs, of course, if this applies to the product being traded. And guys, with this final thought, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I really hope you've liked it. Don't forget to hit whatever button you like below this video. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.